pull us together and really start providing information and access. The biggest thing for us is the access. And your makeup, Robin, looks awesome. You look good. You got a cute. She's adorable.
I'm a very lucky guy.
You are gorgeous. You guys both. I wanted you guys, in fact, one of the things that I'm doing, this is for both of you, is putting together a couples group of just on the planet, global shakers, individuals that are doing life together, and then we're making it not about, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. It could be a business partner. It could be, but how people are coming together. And so I'm seeing a lot of folks that are not only bringing their spouse, but also, their business.
Too fast for me because he's my
there, it's Michelle Patterson. It is Friday, and you know what Friday is? It is the Real Share Daily Huddle. We've got a full day packed, and we're getting ready for the weekend. And you know what we do? We also talk to our nutritionist who is ready, willing, and just there for us, and that's Liliana Partita. So she's going to be coming in at the last tail end to answer any questions that we have. And then we've got a friend of mine who I actually had the opportunity to meet through Dr. Keisha Ewer, and she introduced me to Robin Mastro. You might recognize the name because this will be the first guest where we've had their partner and their business partner present. So this is Robin Mastro. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about Robin. She is the co-founder of Vastu Creations, which is an LLC, and the American Institute of Vatsu, consulting, design, and educational companies that focus on eliminating governmental stress for greater productivity, improved health, and well-being. Robin has been a teacher of meditation and Vedic breathing for the Art of Living Foundation for over 25 years. She has been a sincere seeker her entire life and has spent decades working with students and clients to live a healthier, happier, and more harmonious life. Her research in accessing the power of altars for personal well-being led her to the study of ancient cultures around the world and how they connected with unseen forces to support their daily lives. Robin has dedicated herself to being in service to others through her award-winning books, courses, and ongoing offerings. And I want you, in fact, Robin, if you could hold this up, because I think it's beautiful, the cover. This is one of 3 books. It's the Altars of Power and Grace, and that's the first of 3. And that's absolutely gorgeous. I want to start with this, and you producing this beautiful series. So 3 books, and tell me how did this even come about?
Well, the first book is from my graduate work in whole systems design, and the head of my department and the person who was like the head of my graduate committee, my advisor, were both PhD architects. And my husband and I are Vastu practitioners, and I wanted to somehow incorporate my work into my graduate work. So at the time, we had bought a house and we were in the middle of renovating it, and we were on our way to India, and there was a lot going on. And I knew I was either going to have to postpone graduate school for a while to handle everything else in my life, or somehow incorporate what I was doing in my real life into my graduate program. And I proposed, well, I had been traveling a lot in my life, so I'd been all over the world, and I'd seen everywhere I'd gone, people honor the divine and using altars, small sacred spaces, to connect with the source of the unseen, something greater than themselves that they can't see or touch, but definitely has some sort of response in their lives, some sort of way of allowing them to feel heard, and especially in times of great need. So I proposed that we take the most powerful aspects of the science of Vastu Shastra, which is a 7,000 to 10,000 year old science of building in harmony with nature for success and well-being and productivity and good health, and see if I could create smaller environments, creating almost like a microcosm of the universe in perfect order. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I proposed it. Let's see what happened. They thought it was a great idea. So I started playing around with my friends' altars. Some of them were very devoted spiritual people. And I would just move certain objects around that represented the 5 elements: earth, air, water, fire, and space. And just ask them to let me know how things go. Give me a call in a week. Well, several of them would call me the very next day. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what just happened. And they were not small little things that were happening in their life. Some very out of the norm kind of events were beginning to happen in these people's lives. And I mean, you couldn't pretend it didn't come from the altars. And even people who did not have a spiritual practice or did not meditate regularly had incredible changes happening. So it seemed like a no-brainer to continue to do the research that way with friends and family. And then I started doing a test group. I put it out on Facebook. Hey, anybody interested in joining me on this? And I had maybe 25, 30 women from all over the country, actually North America, involved. And people's lives started changing. So it's remarkable. Now, this book, the one that I showed you, it was published in 2004. And every day I get emails from people thanking me. So it's kind of like one of those evergreen books. It's out of print, but you can definitely still get it in a Kindle form on Amazon or through us as a PDF downloadable.
Well, and I was so excited to have you on for several reasons. One is it's been a while since we saw each other. And when I first met you, you were with Dr. Keisha, both you and Michael, and introduced me. And Michael came over to our home 3 days later. I think we met like on a Thursday, and he came over on Sunday and really helped set my whole entire home up. You know, he met with my husband and I felt the change. I mean, right away. I mean, we moved our bed from one side of the wall to the other side of the wall. We set up an altar where we can, really put the things that matter to us. And so for me, this is coming full circle because I think we could spend, an entire, week just on this topic alone and not even go anywhere else, because I think it's so important, especially right now when individuals are seeking to have just space where they feel safe and they feel comforted and they're relaxed and they can focus with their meditation. And so I love to have an individual listen in on this live stream and be able to put some of these pieces into place, this weekend and get your book and pull it down from Kindle, because to me, this is one of those projects where it's really an opportunity for you to love on yourself and bring joy into your life.
And that's what we need right now. I mean, my God, I mean, we're all going through some really interesting times, and some people aren't handling it very well. I'm part of a Monday afternoon women's group, and I've kind of brought this as something to do for my the women in the group on full moons. And I sent somebody in your office the link to an article that talks about how to create a full moon altar for abundance in all things, and also a little downloadable yantra that you use to ignite the altar. And so, but I've got this group of women who are so varied in this, do full moon altars, and every month their altars are becoming more and more beautiful because they're seeing how it's changing their lives. And I just have to say that, I mean, I get chills up and down my legs just talking about it. Some of the stories are amazing. I mean, it's like such a great way to connect with the energy of abundance that the full moon brings us. And we are so unaware of the power of this moon in our lives and what it can do to support us throughout the month. And how, if you honor the forces of the divine, and love your creation, that love of the beauty that you created, it feeds the altar and it makes it work for you even better. And so this is just like, it's kind of like magic, but it's not. There is a science involved in this, because you're setting the altar up in a very specific pattern that honors the elements and creates like a radio transmitter, or you're tuning in a station, or like it's like a conduit for all this energy to come into your life and bless you.
That's so beautiful. And I have on my altar, I mean, just some things that really mean a lot to me. And at the end, I'll go ahead and I'll show you where mine is. And it truly started from Michael coming out, and we did a prayer. So let's just talk about what are some things that you would want to include, and for somebody that's interested in doing this, where do they start without making it feel so overwhelming? What's something that they can do just to keep it simple and get started?
Well, there's not a whole lot of pieces that need to go on the altar, but the pieces that do specifically go on the altar to begin with have to be in a very specific place. So you're going to need your phone, and because it has a compass on it, and you need to know where the directions are. And not everybody's house is aligned to the cardinal directions. The top of your computer, if you were to Google your address into Google Maps, it would show you how your house looks or your apartment. And you can kind of surmise from where everything is, where true north is. True north is always the top of your computer or the top of your iPhone or Android. So it gives you an idea of the placement. So let's just talk about an abundance altar. Since the article that I've sent everybody is for full moon abundance altar, it could be done in the middle of a room once a month.
Go ahead and add
together the day before the moon becomes full. Say that again.
We'll go ahead and add the links as well, so that way the articles that are coming in and that you're making reference to, you can find those. There you go.
Hi.
The joys of technology. So you were starting to say, so we've got these articles that we'll make reference to, and we'll put those links in.
Right.
And then how do you get started?
You're going to do an abundance altar, and you're going to have that altar sitting up against a north wall. And that's, so like if you have a little table, or maybe on the north wall you have a windowsill it doesn't need to be big. It could be that small. It could be as big as a room. But an abundance altar goes on the north side of your house. So on that north wall, imagine creating what you're doing is creating like a square structure. In Vastu, energy moves most efficiently in a square or rectangular environment. So you want the energy not to move fast, like in a circle. Circles are really good for things like sporting events, but it's not good to actually have stable energy. It's very quick energy. So you want the energy to build. So you want it against the north wall, and on the far, I guess the closest point on the left side, like in the back on the left, you want to put something that represents the air element, like a feather or a bell or incense. These are representations of the elements. You're not going to get an air element. You could get wind chimes. A feather, I think, is good. People have incense. That's where you put it. On the back left. On the back right is the water element. A clear little cup or vase of water. You want to be able to see the water. If you have a little vase and you put fresh flowers in it, that's great. But make sure that you change the water regularly if you have anything alive in there. You can also use silk, but the water element has to be in there. The water has to be in the vase. If it's just a cup of water, it's fine. But never put anything dead, like no dead, dried flowers in your water element, because you want your flowers to be as alive as your dreams. Okay. So like that. In the front right, okay, so that's, I'm actually having to face, I'm kind of directionally impaired myself.
Well,
so
and I'm over here like writing it out actually too. And when Michael came out, we ended up putting incense over on the left side. And that makes sense too. There was a vase with water.
Right.
And alive. So yeah, so this is great.
So the water element is in the far back right, and then in the front right is the fire element. And you'll notice that you can have incense in the fire element too, because you have to light that to get the smell. So you can use incense either in the far left or the close right corner of your square. You can also have a candle. Some people put a little Himalayan salt lamp there. It's there's the fire element. So in the front left side is the earth element. Earth element could be crystals, or some people use a cup with uncooked rice in it. Some people use a little plant. Some people put like an African violet on there because it's good energy.
And what does that mean? So for example, the uncooked rice, what does that symbolize?
It symbolizes the earth element. It could also be a cup with sand in it. Anything actually from the earth. So in the center is what I call your personal, actually it's called the offering tray. And the offering tray is where you're going to put the yantra that you can download from the link that I've given you, so that people can download the article. There's a beautiful symbol. It's actually the most powerful symbol in the universe, and I can talk about that. But it is called the Lakshmi or the Shri Yantra, and it attracts abundance of all kinds. Abundant love, abundant joy, abundant happiness, prosperity, you name it.
I have that on my
and success
tree. So the little tree that comes out. So I did get one, and I have it right on there. Yeah.
So this is actually a geometric shape. I have one on the wall, but I'm not going to run and get it because I'll probably take my computer with me because I'll forget to take my headphones off. But it's a geometric shape that has intersecting squares and a circle in the middle. Not squares, triangles, upside and down. And they actually create a frequency. In this science, sound and form are the same. So Sanskrit, which is the language of this science, is a very unique language. Whatever you say, you can also see in a form, and that form vibrates the same frequency as the sound. So it's like these things are alive. They're like, those little things are alive. So even though you're going to get a downloadable, printable Shri Yantra, the vibration is in the symbol of the manifestation that you want. I hope that makes sense.
That makes complete sense. And I'd love to hear too, if two things. If somebody's having challenges with finances, what's something that they could do?
This is it.
So they would do full abundance.
This is an abundance altar. The thing about, so there's one more element that needs to go in it, and it's called the personal symbol. It sits right in back of the offering tray. And that could be once Mike made a collage of $1 bills, and we made an altar. We put that in as our personal symbol. Or it could be pictures cut out of a magazine of wealthy people, or people that look wealthy, or it could be whatever it is that you desire. You can make a collage, or a picture of people that who are very abundant, have maybe wonderful relationship. They're like abundantly in love, or they're happily wealthy. You want something that when you look at it, oh, this is about manifesting abundance. Okay. So you put that, you can frame it, or you can just put it on a board and have it behind the personal symbol, the offering tray, and it's your personal symbol. So you have earth, air, water, fire, and space, which is your offering tray. All of those elements are exactly where they need to be. And it is explained in the article, so people don't have to go crazy trying to remember all this. And then there is a process to ignite the altar, to enliven it. It's like you're birthing it. And you kind of walk towards doing this with an idea of what you want. But the thing about working at this level is that you can't be so specific, because sometimes you don't know what's best for you. You don't know what the divine has in store for you that probably is better than what you would think, because your mind is very clear on what it thinks it needs, and it knows what it doesn't need most of all. And you kind of need to just let that go. And that's what the altar is for. It's a place where you surrender all your desires, all your hopes, all your dreams, and you let the divine, God, goddess, whatever you call it, show you what it has for you to. And then you observe. Surrendered, meaning you're not trying to pull the little seedling sprout out of the ground before it's time. You watch as things unfold. And everything that comes to you, even if it's very, very small, you have gratitude for that, because it is in being humble and grateful and willing that things happen for you. You know, you get your greatest support when you don't know everything. And truly, we don't know a lot. But what I do know is these things really work well. So.
Well, I love it. So last week I had the opportunity of having Love Fest, and we had these wellness team family members. Michael came out, you came out, and we talked about things that give us gratitude. And one of the things that popped up, Jack Canfield talked about how he would go to sleep at night and he would put this, $100 bill, on the ceiling, and he would see that. And that was his opportunity to pay it forward, to be reflective, to really talk about this. And so on my birthday, right when you started talking about this, my friends gave me 50 reasons why we love you, Michelle, but then they gave me a $50 bill for 50 years on the planet. And I thought, it's stuff like that where we get so busy, and it's so important for us to get intentional about bringing joy into our life, but also, to your point, about just letting go and recognizing that, we don't always have all the answers, nor maybe do we want to have all the answers, because we then limit ourselves as to what the possibility is out there.
That is so true. And I think that right now is an incredible opportunity, because we are kind of in lockdown, most of us. And we've had a lot of time with ourselves. And some people haven't been very distracted the way they're used to distracting themselves. So it's been very confrontive for some people that they basically feel very alone. But I think at the same time, there's such opportunity to dive deep and discover your essential nature, and to work with the elements in such a way as what I'm offering, that you actually can take this opportunity as almost like being in school, like the school of the divine in a way, to have your life transformed on the other side.
I love the way that sounds too, the school of the divine. And then loving yourself so much that you're willing to take time to put together this altar and really think through, what do I want to co-create, with the creator, and then letting go. I love it. My girlfriend just got a tattoo this past year, and it says, "Let go, let God." And her daughter also got the tattoo as well, right in her arm. And I think that's what a lot of it's about, is just not going into this mindset of, let me control this and let me have these expectations. Because for me, it was a lot of disappointment, or I'd have these expectations and then I would build up resentment because it didn't go as I had thought it would go. And just being able to release that and being okay with that. And and then seeing how things come back, you know, really it surprises me how much it comes back twofold, where I thought it was going to come in this level, and it surpasses my dreams.
I think I mean, what you're saying is like everything that I'm dealing with right now. It's like realizing that we were never the doers, ever. We've never been in control. We just think we are. We are like sand, a piece of sand on the beach. We think our lives are so important, so necessary. And yet, if you connect to something greater than you and you surrender to that, and not my will, yours, my prayer every morning is show me what is mine to do. You know, if I stop thinking that I have this list, I got to check everything off all day long, all these things that I think that I need to do in order to be happy. If I just allow myself the time to listen and hear what is next, my nervous system calms down, my day flows, and I stay in gratitude, and things come to me. It's like I'm not pushing it, and yet my life is just opened up, and I have so much great gratitude for just being able to finally let go, you know, because I see people who insist that their lives are stressful. They think that stress is important for them to feel alive, and that is so detrimental to our physiology.
Yeah,
you know,
and we hear this a lot.
We
too.
need to allow ourselves to connect.
And I think along those same lines, and I love that you're bringing this up, because I do feel like individuals that I've spoken to, even on the show, are saying, you know, I struggled with this. I'm getting impatient, but I keep going back to being quiet and calming down and just really going into that inner self and asking, you know, is this really what I want? You know, do I want to go down this path and create this struggle, or do I want to go down a path of where I'm really showing up in love for myself and not having the struggle? And what I'm finding is that not only do we not have to have the struggle, I don't think we were meant to struggle.
Boy, is that really the truth? I don't think we were meant to struggle. And yet that's what we've been programmed and trained to do our whole lives. It's like to achieve. When you're in that mode where you think that more is better, you never get off that wheel. You never do. And, you know, it's, for me, I have spent years doing service and watching, even with everything we would teach through through the Art of Living Foundation, which we were the founding teachers and directors of in the state of Washington. I would see people really still suffer. And it was because they insisted life look a certain way. They were programmed to believe that they had to really push, really work hard, really achieve. And it didn't really bring them a lot of happiness. And I think that, you know, the more that we can enjoy our lives, I always felt like my job as a teacher was to have fun with these people, to really not just be the teacher, which has a lot of connotations, but also to provide an environment where people could feel good about their lives. And I think that allowing, I've got a dog here who wants to play.
You got a couple of those. How many do you have? 2? 3?
I have 2. One got down off the bed and the other is right here. He's just being obnoxious because he's a puppy. But I think it's just that our whole perception of how we're supposed to act as we grow up and become adults is so warped. And it is a program for being disappointed, you know? I mean, life comes at us. Our job isn't to try to fix it as it comes, it is to accept it and find the pearls of wisdom that are in each of those incidences. What is the divine trying to teach me, and how I can receive it as with as much gratefulness to allow grace to come in and shift the picture, so whatever I'm resisting I can then move to the next place that I'm supposed to be.
I love that you say that too. And Oprah said this. I remember hearing her say this on one of her shows, and she said, "You know, what am I supposed to learn from this? Now get me out of it." Oh my God. And really looking at it that way. And I had a call earlier with one of my mentors, Bob Quintana, and he's like, "Patterson, you sound so good." He goes, "You just sound so full of life." And I said, "You know what? I think I'm just deciding it's like, there's no reason to have the struggle. There's no reason to, um, you know, I'm looking at life differently." And that is, I was told, in going through this diagnosis is, Michelle, your number one job is to bring joy into your life. Your whole focus is to bring joy. And that's harder to do than it appears. I mean, I literally had to like focus on it, because I found myself gravitating to, okay, if it wasn't, gigantic, if it wasn't huge, if it wasn't, the biggest thing ever, then, I wasn't pushing myself. I wasn't, and really letting go and saying with this Love Fest, I said, you know what, I'm going to push it out there, and whatever happens, happens. And I'm going to enjoy my birthday with the people that showed up for me, in my healing journey, these wellness team family members. And, so we have 18 hours that's coming back out. So it's going to get released next week.
Wow.
We're looking at midweek, and that's going to be coming out. But we had individuals that got on in the morning, and then they didn't get off. They kept listening, because the conversation was all about owning your wellness and making a decision. Do I want to struggle, or do I want to show up in love for myself? And it's that easy. And we all can rise to this level of happiness and joy. It doesn't have to be where I'm happy one day, then I'm not happy the next day. I mean, you could actually set it up where you're receiving this by doing things like you talked about, and creating an altar that really puts that intention out there.
I think you're so true. I mean, I'm part of a group called School of Love, and the woman that is the person who's ahead of it actually channels Mother Mary, and I've been working with and she is just glowing, because it's like what you're saying. We've all come to this place now where we have done everything right. We've tried to do everything right. And it's like we are out of control. We're not dictating this part right here. We are not in charge of our lives the way we thought we were. And some unseen force is bringing us to our knees, basically. Not just us, not just our state or our country, but the world. And, you have to wonder, like, this is powerful. Whatever it is, how horrible it actually is for so many people, for it to have that kind of power, for us to clean up our environment, like, who knew? Who knew there would be this happening? It was unpredictable. Nobody could have imagined in January where we would be here in May. Nobody. And yet there's a reason for it. And I think I would ask your listeners, what's your reason? What are you doing with this time? Are you freaked out and worried and concerned about stuff that you can't control? Or are you going to allow yourself to just try something different? Like, whatever is going on in your life, you can shift by not trying to control the hell out of it, pardon my French, but by shifting your attention and calling in the forces of good that work in your life if you allow them. And that's, I just offer my little piece, but I think we're all learning something around surrender right now.
I think the word surrender is such a powerful, powerful word, because we talked about it. It's you can go through this and struggle, or you can approach this energetically with, what's possible, what's out there that maybe I didn't think about. And what we've found in working with my team, and I, this for me is the favorite part of my day. 4:00, I was born at 4:02. I had to go find that information when Michael did all of my background. So I didn't know it was 4:02. So we start the show at 4:02 when I was born, PM. And it's so neat to see individuals coming together and sharing what they know and sharing their insights and how, they've navigated through, a tough situation and come out the other end. And, and I shared with you, my situation, I can honestly say would not trade the experience of the diagnosis and the blessing for anything, because the awareness that I have now, I didn't have this inner peace like I have now. I wasn't having the conversations I was having with my kids and my husband and, my close, friends, where we were just sitting down and really talking about, what are we afraid of? And then when you start realizing, you start pulling it back, it's this, when we're living in that present space and truly loving on life, and we're not focused on, the worry of the future or the worry of the past, but literally looking at what can we do right now. It's powerful.
Yeah. I mean, if you can start your day and end your day thinking of 3 things that you're grateful for, and just expand on that, like write down everything that you're grateful for in your life. We are surrounded by absolute beauty, and we are so stuck in our own little misery inside that, when we're in pain, we can't see what is nature's provided us, the beauty around us. And it's there to uplift us. It's just like waiting for us to realize its value. We need to find, we can't change anything without a grateful heart. It just doesn't happen. It's not going to happen, because you could have all the power and all the glory in the world and still be a miserable person.
Isn't that the truth? Well, and you talk a lot about nature, which I love, and you open up the conversation. And I think it's so neat to bring in elements from nature into this space of your altar. We had Wyland on Love Fest, and he painted a live painting for me for my birthday, and then also for childhelp.org, which we're going to be auctioning off. And that was absolutely beautiful. Here he's putting these beautiful images on the side of buildings, Long Beach Convention Center, where I held my conference at for years. You have this Wyland, portrait of this whale. And so it was so neat to see where we're really thinking outside of ourselves and looking at, what's possible and what are all the things that we can really do to appreciate the beauty and then incorporate it into our daily lives and make it part of our routine.
And one thing I wanted to mention about those altars is that it's the beauty. The beauty has to be there. When you look at that altar, you have to love it. You have to go, oh my God, that is so cool. I created this. Each one of those pieces should represent something that really touches you, something that you love. And when you look at it in combination, it needs to spark that joy of what you've created, because it's the beauty and the love that you feel for your creation that makes it grow. So, just to know, that's the alchemical formula for transformation, folks. Love what you do and find beauty in it and gratitude in it, and your life will change for the better by itself. You won't have to try to push the flow of the river.
Well, thank you so much, Robin, for this. And I'm excited because what we do every Friday is we have Liliana come on. We talk about nutrition and we talk about just our overall wellness and well-being. And Liliana, who's a very dear friend, it took me 9 months to find my nutritionist. I absolutely love her. There's not few people that can talk to you about an enema or all the different things for health. But Liliana, I love to bring up this conversation of an altar and meditation and taking pause and really get deliberate, because one of the things that you did with me was you brought out these mantras and these really comments of gratitude. And I really see that being pulled together, so much so I've actually taken those little statements of declaration and put those onto my altar and really, reflect on that daily.
Well, I love this whole theme on an altar, and now I'm excited to go and have a look at mine and see how it fits facing north, because, we put things where it's conveniently for us, and it may not be the space that it should be. So I'm going to go look in the feng shui style. But, I really relate to just even the mindset of an altar as our body is the temple. And, we're altar, we put things on, and the temple, we put things inside, right? And so, in the same way, we honor our temple, this magnificent human bodysuit that God has given us. And we want to really be mindful in regards to what we actually are feeding not only our body, but our soul. And so many of my patients, I really do talk to them about sacred space in their house. And I say, and even I've had patients that say, my house is chaotic. My husband's a hoarder. I have no peace and quiet. And the most important thing for healing is to have a sacred space. So I always try to motivate them. And it doesn't have to be a big area, as Robin was discussing, an area where they could really go in and have that quiet time that is absolutely so necessary. I mean, I found myself, just with this whole lockdown. I mean, I'm working every single day, so it's really not too different for me. But in the mindset is just listening to all of these amazing webinars and motivational, Deepak Chopra and 21 Days of Abundance and things of that nature, is we have a tendency to overcrowd our mind. This morning I woke up, I thought, I just want silence. I don't need to watch another podcast or another this or that. I just need to be in the presence of. And so, I think that, creating that sacred place is essential for healing, so that we can take nourishment, as Robin said, from the unseen. We have such a capacity to really tap in to that, what I would call that, the unseen field of spirit, the metaphysical world, and pull those energies for healing. So I love those little dogs. I miss my little dog. Yeah, I had a Lhasa Poo too. So, but anyway, I think that, that's really very relevant, what we put in our body, what we actually create as a sacred space, because without that, you will not have a very good foundation for healing and becoming your best, brightest happiness person. So it was interesting that when you were talking about joy, right? And, happiness so often, especially when I'm working with my patients, it depends on their circumstances in life, whether this or the COVID. And I say, well, the beautiful thing about joy, it despite circumstances, you can always connect with joy, even in the worst situation. As you said, Robin, what am I grateful for? Let me look around. I'm better than okay right now. I have a roof over my head. I have a happy family. We're all okay. And so you can really just take these small little things and just recognize how abundant life can be. You just have to open up your hands to receive and to give at the same time.
I want to bring up a couple things too, that you guys have brought up. So one of the things we did was we set up just this kind of wellness retreat area that was in my garage. And Liliana brought over a rug. I have a sauna in there. Just a little, a couple towels, candles, set up where it's this place that is a quiet. And I learned that from Doug Fields. He was a pastor over at Saddleback. And what he did was he put a tent in his garage, literally zipped it up, got inside the tent. I think he had like 7 kids. And he said, you know what? I need this place to go to so that I can go ahead and put my scripture together, have a place of quiet, just by myself. And I thought that was great. And so what it reminded me of is, here we've had, and I shared this with you, Robin, and Michael, when he came out, but we were a family of 4 that had gone from 5,000 square feet living space to 1,333 square feet. So completely different. And it's been actually an opportunity for us to really come together, really just cohabitate, be respectful of each other's space, but also get very deliberate on how you want to set up your space and when you want to have that quiet time in the morning. And so it actually ended up, because we had to focus on getting that private space, it made it so that we did it. It just didn't, it just didn't happen. We had to focus on having it happen. And so that's one of the things. And then the other piece I wanted to add in is the use of essential oils. I'm hearing that come up a lot. We're working with Jack Canfield on his project. There's so much talk about essential oils, and every day I'm learning more and more. But tell me what you know about essential oils. Tell me, and again, Robin, you had brought this up too, was one of the points is to be able to put some essential oils there on your altar.
So who wants to go first?
Go on ahead.
Okay. Well, I love essential oils. I use them a lot with my emotional work because, one, they cross the blood-brain very, very quickly to calm the parasympathetic nervous down. I teach my patients that every single flower essence that's in there is based on an emotional component. And when I do a biofeedback with them, I can muscle test them very quickly to see energetically which ones their body is asking for. So I'm definitely a huge proponent of essential oils, whether you're using them in a humidifier, or whether you are ingesting them or putting them on the bottom of your feet and the back of your neck. I think they can immediately change your state of emotions, thinking, and feelings. So I am a huge.
The question here is back of your neck, bottom of your feet. I hear that. Why there? And I'd love to hear too, yeah. Robin, your comments. But Liliana, why there?
So you've got the limbic part of the brain, which is the emotional side back here where the brain stem is. So again, and of course here's, the whole energy center of the brain. So that's why I like to, and you usually have to have a carrier oil, like a little bit of coconut oil, because they are really quite strong. And the bottom of your feet is the entire map of your body. And so again, I make it a ritual, as far as my own, what I call meeting my own personal needs, is I have this whole kind of downtime, my meditation, my prayer, but I do some acupressure point on my feet with essential oils. So depending, if I've got a cold or something, I'll be using oregano, I'll be using thyme, I'll be using rosemary. I smell sometimes like this pharmacopoeia of like, oh my God, my husband's got, oh my God, what do you got on, and sometimes I smell like these incredible flowers, right? And so I use the bottom of the feet just so that we can get to those, all of the organs and system points, 72,000 nerves at the bottom of the feet, and then the brain stem so it gets up to the limbic center.
I love it. Robin, what do you think?
Well, I'm always telling my husband, like, he's missing the point of how women feel about men, because half of it is how good they smell. And if they don't smell good, boy, that's, it's like they're missing it, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel that the things that we use are things like, for relationships, things like rose and lavender and jasmine and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this right. Ylang-ylang.
Yeah.
And those have a really interesting effect on the physiology. They, it's like they raise the energy up but they also relax the energy, so make you very open and accessible. And diffusing those in your bedroom, especially if you're looking for more relaxation or even romance, those are really nice scents to have, and you can even put them in your bath. So I like that, and I love the idea, and I have for years used oils on the bottom of my feet, especially if I'm not feeling well. There are some oils I think that Young Living had and doTERRA have that really work for boosting the immune system. And not only do you rub them on your feet, but then you inhale them as well, and they get into your sinuses and your lungs. And if you're coming down with something, there are some really good immune boosting scents that help you a lot to get over things quicker. And also, if you're even congested, there are things that you can inhale that are really good to help calm the lungs down. Especially if, like, my weak place is my chest, and that's like the concern now with this virus. It's like anybody that's ever had pneumonia or any kind of compromised problem with their lungs and breathing, you have to be very, very careful. And these help strengthen the lungs as well. They help strengthen the mucus lining. So you want to look for essential oils that really help build the immune system, but also help tonify the immune system. And so that's about all I know.
I think that's a lot.
Yeah, it's good. And one of the things that I'm telling, what we do at the office is in our masks that we wear every day, I just spray essential oils right on the outside, a little On Guard, which is an antibacterial viral. But again, not only because I'm suffocating half the time in those things, I think I talk so fast, I'm getting carbon dioxide, right? But anyway, those essential oils really help, because it's stressful wearing those masks. And so anything that you can calm that parasympathetic nervous system down so that you can relate to patients better is wonderful. And exactly what you said, every time I get through with an emotional treatment with a patient, because I do EVOX, where biofeedback, I always put oils on them. I have them rub them depending on, the emotions that we're working on, forgiveness, things of that nature. And then we have all these different scents. They smell it, and they just, whoa, you can just see them like, and then on the back of their neck. So it's just a really great way to anchor yourself.
I don't think people even realize how good they can feel after doing just a couple of these different things. I mean, it doesn't take a lot.
No.
And what I'm finding is that some of this stuff is already around the house. You can go ahead and pull it, and rather than reach for, that Excedrin or that Advil or that, prescription, it's, drinking a glass of water, taking out the essential oils, having a moment of just, breathing.
Absolutely.
And, all this stuff that I never did, and run, this type A personality. And I'm just like, okay, I'm happy I got to 50, with this mindset and this hard charging. And you know what? It's so much more fun just to chill, and Robin, I'll use some French, but the bleep out. I mean, it's like, it's not necessary. It doesn't help us in any way. We're not having fun doing it, and we don't enjoy it. I mean, let's stop doing it. And enjoy the process, and really see, I think, what your body responds to.
Absolutely.
So this is so exciting. Well, we have on the top of the hour, 5:00, we go into just dancing. So we are going to start this weekend off right. Robin, so honored to have you on the show and be a part of our family. So thank you so much, Juliana.